The rain tapped against the windshield as Jack Morgan drove down the empty highway, his headlights slicing through the thick fog that had settled over the road like a heavy blanket. He had been driving for hours, trying to shake off the gnawing feeling that he was lost. His GPS had given up miles ago, and the road signs were few and far between. Then, as if out of nowhere, a green sign appeared on the side of the road. "Welcome to Ashwood." Jack frowned. He didn't remember seeing this town on any map, but the gas gauge was dipping dangerously low, and he needed a break. As he pulled into town, the streets were eerily quiet, the kind of quiet that makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Old brick buildings lined the main street, their facades weathered and tired, yet somehow familiar. Jack parked outside a small diner and stepped inside. The bell above the door jingled, and the woman behind the counter, a middle-aged waitress with kind eyes, smiled warmly. "Welcome home, Jack." Jack froze mid-step. I think you have me confused with someone else," he said, forcing a polite smile. The waitress chuckled, pouring a fresh cup of coffee. "Oh, don't be silly. It's been a while, sure, but we never forget a face around here." Jack swallowed hard, unease settling deep in his gut. He glanced around the diner, and that's when he noticed the others, people sitting in booths and stools, all staring at him with knowing smiles. "You must be tired from the drive," the waitress said, pushing the cup toward him. "Why don't you sit down, your usual—" Jack didn't remember ever being here, but something inside him whispered that maybe he had. After an uncomfortable meal, Jack decided to get some sleep and check out the town in the morning. The Ashwood Inn was the only place in town to stay, a quaint old Victorian house turned into a motel. The man at the front desk greeted him with an unsettling familiarity. "Good to have you back, Mr. Morgan. Room 5, like always." Jack's skin prickled. "I've never been here before." The man's smile didn't falter. "Of course you have." Jack took the key and hurried to his room, locking the door behind him. He sat on the edge of the bed, flipping through his phone. No signal, no messages. When he tried calling his parents, the line beeped once, then went dead. Panic gnawed at him. He tried to think, tried to remember. Had he been here before? The town felt too familiar. The way the streetlights flickered, the smell of rain-soaked pavement. Even the creak of the floor beneath his feet felt like something out of a dream. Or a nightmare. The next morning, Jack decided to leave. But as he drove down the winding road leading out of town, something strange happened. He found himself right back where he started, Ashwood. He turned around and tried again, and again. Every time, no matter which direction he took, he ended up back in the town square, facing the same buildings and the same smiling faces. A cold sweat broke out on his forehead. No, this isn't right. He parked and got out, storming into the diner. "What the hell is going on?" he demanded. The waitress, unfazed, simply wiped down the counter and smiled. "Why would you want to leave, Jack? You belong here." Jack backed away, shaking his head. "No, I don't." But did he? He found Clara in the town library. She was the only one who seemed different. "You shouldn't have come back," she said softly, avoiding his gaze. "I haven't been here before," Jack insisted. She looked up, her eyes filled with something that scared him more than the strange town. Pity. "That's what we all say at first." Jack stared at her. "What do you mean, we?" She hesitated before leaning in. "People who come here, they forget. And the town. It takes them." His heart hammered in his chest. "What does that mean?" Clara shook her head. "You won't remember soon. Little things at first, your job, your family, then yourself." Jack reached into his pocket and pulled out his wallet. Flipping through his ID, his credit cards, his name was still there. But when he tried to recall his mother's face or the name of the company he worked for, it was blank. Jack spent the next day trying to fight it. He scribbled notes on scraps of paper, detailing everything he could remember about his life outside Ashwood. But with each hour, memories slipped away faster. The names of his friends, his apartment's address, the last movie he saw, gone, and the people of Ashwood, they seemed closer now, watching, smiling too wide, speaking in hushed tones, as if waiting for him to forget entirely. Jack ran to the town hall, desperate to find something, anything, that could explain what was happening. In the dusty archives, he found records of missing people, dozens spanning decades, each one marked as resident with no further information. And then he found something worse, his own name, Jack Morgan, resident. The paper looked old, as if it had been there for years. He couldn't stay, he wouldn't. Clara found him later, sitting on the steps of the inn, staring blankly into the distance. "You don't have much time left," she whispered. "I don't remember where I was going," he admitted, his voice hollow. "I do," she said, offering him a notebook filled with his handwriting. "You wrote it all down." Jack stared at it, flipping through the pages, seeing memories of a life he no longer recognized. "Take the back road," Clara whispered. "Through the woods. It's your only chance." Jack didn't hesitate. He ran. The forest swallowed him whole, darkness pressing in from all sides. He could hear the townspeople behind him, calling out, "Come back, Jack! You belong here." The voices grew distorted, melting into the sound of the wind as the road twisted beneath his feet. Then, suddenly, he was free. Jack gasped, collapsing onto the pavement of a distant road, far from the suffocating embrace of Ashwood. He looked at the notebook in his trembling hands, pages blank, memories gone. But as he got back into his car, he saw something in the rearview mirror, a road sign pointing back to Ashwood, and he felt like he belonged there. Some places don't let go, some places don't have to.